Hello YouTube, my name is Micah. In this video, I will be explaining a project that I did in MySQL Workbench in which I analyzed and queried Airbnb data from certain cities. So before we jump into it, let me go and explain what the problem I solved is. So let's say I am looking for Airbnbs in Boston, Massachusetts. I can go to the Airbnb website and I can scroll through their offerings for Boston and check out the different Airbnbs that are available. Let's say that what is not important to me is the location, which you can see over here. And what is also not important to me, or not a high priority to me is the vibes that you can pick up of the Airbnb from looking at the pictures. Some of these pictures are quite useless, honestly, like this one. So I can't gather very much information about the Airbnb from just this. What is the most useful to me is the price per night, which you can see here, as well as the 5-star rating, which is an indication of the quality as reviewed by other users of the Airbnb, people who have stayed there before. Those two data points are the most useful to me, okay? So instead of looking at the location and the vibes of the pictures, I want to find a high quality Airbnb for a low price. All right, that's kind of important. That's kind of what we all want, right? So in other words, I'm looking for a balance between high quality and low price, an optimum. So what I can do is go to the Airbnb website and I can look at their filters. They have a lot of different filters on here. You can set a budget and sort of narrow down your search here. You can set the number of beds, bathrooms. You can check if it has Wi-Fi, free parking, and air conditioning. You can look for self-check-in and if it allows pets and stuff like that. You can also look at these other options down here for the bedrooms, bathrooms, and a host of other options. Okay, but there is no way to immediately do the calculation that I want, which is to present to me an Airbnb with a high quality with a low price. And, I think this inefficiency is intentional on the part of Airbnb. It helps the Airbnb business owners to have visibility on their property. All right, so if Airbnb sorted everything according to who has the lowest price to the highest quality, then the person who wants to set higher prices would probably never get seen, would never see customers, would never see visitors. So I think this inefficiency is intentional on part of Airbnb, but it isn't a good thing for me. So how do I want to solve this problem? I would like to scrape the Airbnb website for the price per night, as well as um, the the 5-star rating, as well, and also the link to the offering. Then I would like to perform my analysis in some way and present it to me so that I can go through and check it later. So let's see how I did that. So here we are in MySQL Workbench. I have already solved the problem. I have created an Airbnb Boston server and I have downloaded the Airbnb data for Boston from a scraping website. I downloaded it in the form of a CSV and I imported it into MySQL into a table called listings. So here we have a simple query, which we can now do because it is in MySQL Workbench. So if we run this select all from the listings, we can see that there is a lot of different fields that will show up. A lot of different fields, including, most importantly, the price, as well as the review scores rating, which we can use to solve our business problem. It also shows us the listing URL, as well as a bunch of different other different useful information that we could possibly want to know, such as the description, um, names of the hosts for the Airbnbs, and just a bunch of different useful things. So if we adjust that, if we adjust that select statement just a little bit to show the most relevant data, you can see here we have the price and the review scores rating. Sweet. So now how do we solve our business problem? Well, I already wrote the SQL query, and here it is. What we're doing and this is we are selecting the listing URL, the description, the price, and the review scores rating, just so we have that as reference. And then in line 6 here, we are doing the calculation. It's a very simple calculation. It's just the price and divided by the review scores rating with a little bit of string manipulation so that we can interpret the data and perform that calculation. That establishes the relationship between the review scores rating and the price, which we need in order to solve our problem. And we're selecting this from the listings table, of course, and then we are going to order it by the price review ratio, which we calculated, in ascending order. And if we run this statement, it'll show us at the very top, it'll show us the listings, which are the lowest quality for the highest, the highest quality for the lowest price. So here we see the listing for this Airbnb. It is priced at $50 per night, and the review scores rating is a 4.6. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. 4.6 is a little bit too low for my tastes. What about the next one? So this Airbnb is a great, has this description. It has priced at $65 per night, but it is a 4.97 review score rating. So that is probably the highest quality for the lowest price Airbnb that we are going to get from here. So what we can do now is we can take this listing URL and copy it. Then we can go to our web browser and we can take a look at what this Airbnb is. And when there we can determine, okay, is this a good location? Is this, do I like the vibes of this place? And yeah, it looks pretty cozy to me. So there we go. We have our problem solved using SQL. So at this point in the video, I would like to walk you through the steps that I took in order to get Airbnb data off of the internet, download it onto my computer in the form of a CSV file, and import it into my SQL Workbench where I can develop and run my SQL queries in order to solve my problem. I would like to show, I've already done this with Boston, Massachusetts, but let's do it with a different city instead so that I can show you exactly what I went through in order to, to get to this point. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my web browser and go to a website called InsideAirbnb.com. This is the place where I got my dataset. It is a website that performs the web scraping of Airbnb's data for you. Airbnb makes it pretty difficult for you to just web scrape their website. I think it helps keep them more competitive. It keeps the data more more clean. So this website's good though, InsideAirbnb.com, because it has cities from the United States, from the Netherlands, from Belgium, and from a bunch of other countries across the world. So this is a good place to get your data from. I got my data from Boston, Massachusetts from here, so instead I'm going to go with a different city. Let's go with Oregon. So here we go. We've got Portland, Oregon, United States, and we have the files for the listings, the calendar, the reviews. We have also summary information in CSV files. But what we need is the detailed listings data in the CSV file format. So what we're going to do is download that. And once it's downloaded, we're going to extract it. There we go. Now we're going to extract that. So there we go. Now we have the data for, Airbnb data for Portland, Oregon downloaded onto our computer in the form of a CSV file. Now we can go to our MySQL Workbench. We are still in the same project we were already in, but I'm just going to start a new schema, just like this. We're going to call this one Airbnb data underscore 2, and then create that. Yes, we want to apply all the defaults, and once it's done, we're going to finish. Great, so now we should have Airbnb data 2. We're going to set that as our default schema so that we can run our queries on it. Create a new SQL query real quick. And in order to get our CSV file into this, imported into this, we're going to click on the tables section right here, right click on it, go down to the Table Data Import Wizard, and then once that pulls up, we're going to select our listings that we downloaded earlier. Should be in our Downloads folder. Okay, we're going to go into this, select our listings CSV file, and then click Next. Okay, we're going to, yes, import it into a new table inside of the server, call it Listings Table, and then Next. And then once this pulls up, it's going to show us a list of fields and the column names as well as their data types. The data types are important. Once it pulls up, there we go. So here's all the columns that it is importing successfully. It's importing the ID, listing URL, all the things that we need, as well as a bunch of other data that we don't necessarily need, but it's nice to have just in case we want to experiment. And there's the price. It's going to be in the text format. Where's our? We should be seeing our reviews, review scores, number of reviews, maximum nights, price. I'm just looking for the, here it is, the review scores rating. It's in the text, it's in a text format. That's all right. We're going to click Next and import that data. Click Next again to start the import. And once it is done, it'll finish. And then we'll be able to see all of the data from the listings that we got from the Airbnb, inside Airbnb.com. That's really cool. So here we go. Just going to wait for a second for it to download. And now it's done. Good. Good. Finish that. So now we can run queries. The table should be in here. We're going to select all from listings. There we go. It is successfully pulled up 50 rows, returned 50 rows. So there are 50 Airbnb listings in this listings table. We can see all the data, the ID, listing URL, all the things that we needed, just as we saw before. So from here, we can do another query. Select. We just want to look at the listing URL, the price, and the review scores rating. Review scores rating. These are the fields inside of the listings table. Okay. Let's run that, check for any errors. Nope, good. It looks like some of these do not have review scores at all, so I bet the data is a bit tricky to scrape from the Airbnb website. Or perhaps those Airbnbs are so new that they don't have any reviews score for them yet. I would have to do some investigation to figure out what that is, but those are what my suspicions are just from looking at it right now. From here, we can develop a new query. From what we can see of the price is in a certain format. It is $107.00, and that is actually a string format. It's not in the data type of an integer, for which we can manipulate pretty easily with our equations. So what we need to do is, let me just grab this formula right here. Grab this formula right here. What we want to do is this cast right here. We want to cast the price. We want to replace the price with a $sign with blank, and then cast it as an unsigned integer. And that will turn that into a number for us to be able to manipulate. The rest of this formula is just about rounding. It's about taking this the price and then dividing it by the review scores rating. Okay, right here. My thought processes for developing that are as follows. So what we are trying to compare is the price to the review score. So we can do a certain division, like price divided by the review score, and it'll give us a ratio. This ratio is what we can use to compare to the other scores or the other ratios of the other calculations. So it's like comparing price per gallon for when you're going to buy gas, except this one's the price for the high quality Airbnb. Okay, so yeah, when we get this number, what are we looking for? How do we like sort and decide which one is good or bad? Are we looking at a high ratio as good, or are we looking at a low ratio? Well, for when you're looking at price per gallons, you want to have as low of a ratio as possible. You want to have a low number as possible. So does that hold true for this situation? Well, let's run some use cases real quick. So let's compare a price of $300 to a review score of 5. So that's like 300 divided by 5. We get 60. I don't know why that dollar sign's on that side of the number. All of these numbers. Shoot. Let me just fix this up real quick. Okay. So the price of 300, 300 divided by 5 is 60. Okay. So and then a price of a price of 150 divided by 5 is 30. Okay. So we can see that between the 300 and the 150, we would want to pick the score of. We would want to have a lower price for the same like quality of Airbnb. So 30 is definitely better. Lower prices, lower numbers are definitely better. But let's just check with a few more cases. We have 128. 128 divided by 4 is 32. Okay. So you can see that although this is a bit cheaper, it's also a bit lower quality. And that lower quality makes it just a slightly higher number, and therefore not as desirable as the 150 for the review score of 5, the higher quality. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. And just to check one more time, 128 divided by 5, that is 25.6. So this is the lowest score of all of them. It is the highest highest review compared to this 4 here. It is the lowest cost. So and it is the lowest ratio. So that is what we're looking at. So when we build our whole query, let me just copy and paste it from here, from our other one. When we build this whole query, we want to sort, we want to order the results that we get by the price review ratio, which we calculated earlier here, and we want to order it in ascending order so that the lowest numbers are at the top. Okay, so when we run this query, we're going to get the data, and of course there's going to be some null values because we didn't have our review scores, and reviews, the price divided by the reviews, which is like nothingness, is 0. That's going to be a result that is undefined. So that's why there's nulls here. So I wonder if there's a way to filter out where accommodates equal to, and let's say a review scores rating has to be greater than 0. I wonder if that'll work. So there we go. Now we are only returning the results that are not null, that actually have values in them. And we are looking at the very top, we can see a low price, $49, and a review scores rating of 4.68. The next one down is just a little bit more expensive, but it has a higher review. And then this one is about the same expense, but it is lower. Its review is 4.6. So we might pick from one of these top 3. So that's kind of how I develop my queries. That's how I got my data from Airbnb off of the internet onto my computer, converted it into something that I can use inside of my MySQL workbench and run my SQL queries on it. So there you have it. That concludes my project. I took Airbnb data off the internet, put it into my computer onto my MySQL workbench, and ran SQL queries to analyze that data and present to me the offerings or the listings with the highest quality for the lowest price. Thank you for watching.